Hey, it's Dave. Long time no see. So anyway, I'm coming back to my YouTube channel, and I have I have written a piece that will be an actual official thing. But I thought that I would just do a test thing right now and just catch you up a little bit on what I'm up to here. So I've been doing Substack, as most of you know. Well, as some of you know, as a few of you know. A few people have been reading me over there. And I've been going along dealing with all of this stuff that's going on in the country right now. As many of you know, I got my motor home and all of my gear and all of my sheds and tools and almost everything I own was burned up a while back. And thank you for the kind words from some of you. Excuse me that this is shaking. I don't have the camera properly mounted, and I'm not using a proper microphone because I don't yet have the USB hub that I require in order to get this interface set up. But all of these things just got destroyed in the fire, so along with my house and everything else, so I am doing the best I can to piece it all back together. I bought a teleprompter that's exactly the same. I know how to use it, so that's very comforting. It's not set up yet, but I am in a similar situation that I was in before. I'm sitting in a dinette in a motorhome, and you can't really see it from here. Let me see if I can get a flashlight on it back there. But back in the back there, I've got the window blacked out right now. There's the little anyway, that I don't know if you can see it there. That's the dashboard. The window is blacked out right now, and it is nighttime here, and it probably will be nighttime when I do these things because it gets a little quieter here at night. But it's not too bad where I'm at. Clearly I have to mess with the lighting and things like that, but I'm using OBS, which I've never used before, and I feel like it gives me a little more control over the cameras and things like that. Over the camera, it's just a webcam, and right now I've got my computer sitting right here, and it's sitting on top of a cardboard box, and it's stuck to the top of the laptop, and that's all you're seeing right now, and of course without the good microphone. So it doesn't sound like much, I'm sure, and it doesn't look like much, but this will be roughly what the space is going to look like. I will probably light up the cab a little bit. I'll put a couple of candles in there, and it's got a little console in there. I figure if I put a few candles in there, it'll just kind of glow a little bit in the background. All right? And then it'll have to do, right? It is what it is. You can see my cabinets and stuff like that. It really is a very nice motorhome. I'm not gonna swing the camera around right now because I've got stuff everywhere, boxes of different things that I've been playing with, trying to get all the gear together so that I can start making videos again. Just between you and me, it's been an interesting experiment to be writing for Substack, and I've done to this point I've published 72 essays, and I've written 97 others. So it's not as if I've been sitting around with nothing to do. I have been deeply thinking about just about everything that has to do with the way we live in this country, where I stand on the different things. I certainly left limping from Blue Collar Logic after, becoming the great turncoat that I was perceived to be. So I don't know how much things have calmed down, but I'm going to be very much willfully reaching out to conservative people who are who don't think of being conservative as being a tribe, but rather a sort of tendency. You know, I've broken it down before that basically the whole divide breaks down to two sides with 7 words each to describe them. And one is, we are building the world we dream. This is the liberals. This is the progressives, right? That's the way that their brains are wired. And on the other side, you have, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. 7 other words. And that is basically the conservative mindset. Hang on a little bit, slow down here. Don't move so fast. You know, there's an old joke about it. What is it? That if you go to if the conservatives are having a big protest and somebody's on the bullhorn, they're crying out, "What do we want?" And the crowd yells out, "Slow, gradual change." And when do we want it? Eventually, is what the crowd screams out. So I mean, it's really just years ago I did a little meme that I made. I thought it would spread around the world, and about 10 people looked at it. But it was a picture of two of the pedals inside of a car, you know, underneath the dashboard, and when on the accelerator it said, you know, liberal ideas, and on the brake it said conservatives. It's really all it is. You know, the times change, things change, and it only gets out of hand when it becomes change for its own sake, when it becomes change because, oh my God, we got to get all the change going right now in this 4 years when we're in some sort of power, because then we won't be able to do any change for a while. And this isn't the way you're supposed to do change. You're supposed to do change in an organic sort of way, that it's just the way that things go along. And I think that for the most part, we've been doing that all along. Give people a little time to adjust, and they adjust to the changing world and the changing ideas that come out of people living in a world, in a newer world. So I apologize again for the shitty lighting and the lousy sound. It's just, I just got my Logitech webcam sitting up there, and it's the built-in microphone. So this is pretty low rent here, and in fact, the rent is quite low here. I'm very happy living where I'm living. You can hear some noise, and you will hear in my videos there will be some sounds outside. I can't control that. I live pretty close to a busy street here, but it's on a side street here. It's all very pleasant. There's a lot of big palm trees here, and it's the grounds that I live on are very pleasant. They're shade. Mostly, you know, it gets a little hot in the late afternoon, but I have air conditioning here, much better than I had before. This is a good quality motorhome. Excuse me, the camera's shaking because I'm on a cardboard box on a table, and that won't be the case when I have the teleprompter set up. And I am getting my stuff back together. I'm getting ready to come back here because for all of the joys that I had writing all of that stuff, and I like writing, you know, it's a good thing for me. It's the way I think things through, is to write. And what I think about something, if I write a couple of thousand words on it, I find that I properly question my own assumptions. I've come to use a phrase a lot with my friends that I talk about these things with. And I have this idea of 3D skepticism. Because, you know, the other thing about conservatives are naturally skeptical. And I am really skeptical. I'm skeptical about most of the things conservatives are skeptical about, as well as almost everything I'm skeptical about the things conservatives aren't skeptical about, and certainly skeptical about most of the things that liberals and progressives are certain of. But that's the way of the world. That doesn't mean I'm right. That means I just want to know. I want to take a good look at things before I make a decision. When I bought this motorhome, I didn't trust myself because I was in need. I had nowhere to go, and I needed a bed to sleep in. I was couch surfing, and I I knew that I was going to be tempted to grab among the first things that popped up. So I enlisted the help of a friend who was properly skeptical. And my buddy John, and I told him, I said, look, if you would take on this, looking at these things with me, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I don't have the perspective right now. And you do. You don't have a dog in this hunt. You're going to see things about these things that maybe I'm looking past because I want it to be the right motorhome. And so just come with me and check me and be my balance. And he did. And when we found this one, he really tried to find fault with it. And it was just the right one. So I bought it after looking at a good number of them. And that that was sort of what I was doing for a couple of weeks there. I'm glad that I got right on it, because now a lot of them it's going to get a little bit hard to find when there are 20,000 building projects going on in the Los Angeles area because of the fires. When there are that many building projects going on, there's going to be a lot of people going to want to live on site when they start putting stuff up there, and there's a lot of building materials stacked and things like that. A lot of those homeowners who are renting right now, renting condominiums someplace else, or living or staying with friends or whatever, are going to want to get back on their properties. And so it was, in my view, that meant that there was going to be sort of land office business on selling used motorhomes like this one. Anyway, it's been very interesting to be over on Substack and be writing all of that stuff and seeing the way it shakes out. I'm playing music a lot. I was down Saturday, down at for my fourth week in a row, down at Palisades Park, where I have been going, and I get there a few hours before sunset, set up all my gear, play songs until the sun goes down. Sometimes people hang out and listen and get really into it, and other times not so much. It is radical volunteerism. I've been doing that a lot, becoming involved in projects that don't necessarily have my name on them. Trying to be a decent older dude. It wasn't just very recently I turned 70. Now I've had my eye on turning 70 for a long time, because the greatest influence in my life was a man named Ed Kirsty, who one of the greatest influences in my life. I don't want to devalue my father and mother and my friends in general, but he was a guy that I met when I was 34, and he was 74, and he just seemed to have answers to almost all the questions I had, and all the sort of free-form confusion that I was feeling about my life. He knew what it was because he'd been there, and he'd been through these cycles that I was going through, and my brain was similar enough to his that he thought, well, Davey just doesn't know this. He called me Davey. Davey just doesn't know this shit yet because he hasn't lived it yet, so I'm going to give him some clues. And so I have been, as I approach that age, in 4 years I'll be the age he was when I was 34, and he came into my life and straightened out so many problems that I had, or helped me straighten them out. And so I've been, preparing for the role of elder for a long time. It's been out there, and I've been keeping my eye on it, and knowing that sooner or later it was coming along, and I was going to be uh, somebody else's mentor. And so I don't want to give people bad information. I don't want my mind to be owned by political shit that's going on. You know, the people that are not evolved enough really, and haven't thought it through enough to understand that they're not that the people who think different from them are not their enemies so much as they are an opportunity for perspective. And you then are an opportunity for them to have perspective. And it's really hard to deal with that organically. Naturally, it's hard to deal with that because we're so in love with our own brains. When we get good ideas, um, or pick up a great idea somewhere that we think is great, but when we have what we feel is our insights and an interesting take on things, we're so in love with our own thinking that we don't want to risk it. We don't want to risk being thinking that we are less brilliant than we are at the moment when we're having that thought. Um, so we don't really look around for things to disprove. I got a fly flying around in here. We don't look around for ways to disprove our favorite ideas at the time. We just stick to them. And if we can find groups that have grabbed onto a bunch of ideas that are similar, and then they become our larger group and our larger tribe, and after a while we take on all of their thinking because it's required. It's required that we believe this whole parcel of ideas. And of course, that parcel of ideas are deeply, deeply informed by being as close to the opposite as we can find of the parcel of ideas that are that are held by that other tribe, those other people that wear that different color, those blue people or those red people, and it's also so silly. It's like spectator sports, really. Sometimes I call it sports politainment because it is the cultural divide and the political divide. They're all wound up together, and people just have to really quickly decide what side they're on, what team they're on, or they are made to feel as if they are not engaged, as if they don't care what's going on, as if they're uninvolved. And so all the people that are, imagine if people trying to sell you tickets to the ball game would guilt trip you like that and say, "What? You're not concerned that your team might win?" So this is an extension out from our obsession with sports, that we grow up with watching other people that aren't us perform games that are ultimately meaningless, really, and we get so heavily identified with them that we cry if they lose, and we're overjoyed if they win, and we get so out of control that we in Los Angeles occasionally when the Lakers win a championship, even when the Lakers win a championship, people turn cars over, and not just in LA, in cities in general. Um, I'm going to be writing a lot about the meaningful differences between the rural and the urban. I live now in a more urban environment than I've ever lived in. It's a city out there. It's a few blocks away, and then it turns into a city. And I can walk to a city from here. I could walk to downtown LA from here. It would be a long walk. It wouldn't be a few blocks. But I could walk to downtown LA and have often done walks that are as long as the walk would be to downtown LA. So I'm in the heart of it now. I'm not in little Altadena, a little quiet, harmless Altadena. I'm in the big city now. Um, but it's good. Everything is good. I feel solid. My music's going great, and I just made the decision to close down the Substack and go back to this. Although, doing it in, excuse me, I keep bumping the table. Uh, Doing it in the way that I did it before, more or less, but with a nonpartisan perspective, a post-partisan perspective, as you've heard me say undoubtedly before, unless you've been completely tuned out. Well, actually, I've been tuned out, so you may not have heard it. But it's where you go after you know all of that ways that other thing is fucking us up. So it's all good, man. It's all good. I will see you guys on the air pretty soon. I've got to figure out a way to make this space here into some acceptable way of having a studio. I've got one light stuck up there and one light over there and this little tiny light here on the side, and so it's kind of reminiscent of the old place in that I've got one of these, these those corrugated uh, blinds that they have in these things. I've got a beautiful kitchen over here. I'll show it to you someday. I'll show you around the place someday. But it's just full of gear right now. I've been pulling things, pulling things out of storage so I can get out and get set up for this and trying different things. So, yeah, I'm ready to step to that next level. Uh, Without sounding full of myself, I don't want to get into that, but I'm ready to step to that next level where I just am there as that older dude that knows some shit. For younger people who don't have that older dude that knows some shit, there's enough things about growing old that really suck that there damn well better be a few things that don't. And that's one of the things that I've been planning for all of my life. I really want to have my ducks in a row. I've been putting a lot of attention into my physical health, and walking miles every day. I walked 4 miles today. Normally I do about 4 miles, 3 to 4 miles, and a lot of it's on hills. Because I'm planning to live as long as I possibly can. So anyway, I don't know that I will look at this or decide to post it or not. I've been messing around and I just thought, oh well, I'll just say hello. Anyway, I hope to see you soon. There should be a proper video with a thumbnail and shit on it pretty soon. It's going to take me a while to get back in the swing of things, but certainly there won't be any dearth of things to talk about. And one of the things I want to do, I have a list here somewhere. It's not within my reach. But I want to do a thing called, my final word, basically, and just take on different issues, like abortion and housing and health care, in dealing with things as per the way that they are controversial, and then just make my final statement, and just say, okay, that's what I think after thinking long and hard, and I'm just gonna not allow myself to give a rat's ass if that's going to offend conservative sensibilities. Some, oh my God, he's such a rhino. Well, I why would I be concerned about people who have that limited of a worldview, that unless something falls into a category that is with a whole bunch of other issues that are all in that basket, then oh my God, that's automatically wrong. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to be made to think about it. I don't, because I'm deathly afraid that it will cause me to lose my tribe. Fuck that. You know what I mean? If any, I don't want to be in a tribe that is so sensitive to to any kind of any sort of um, contradiction to its beliefs that it's going to go after you if it catches you. I've been through cancel culture once, and I survived it. And I have a lot of people around Los Angeles who had me on a blacklist, who put their hand out to me and even hug me when they see me, because not because I was right on everything, but because I kept my head. I kept my head and didn't go down the rabbit holes and freak out and go to this extent that's now happening in our government, where everything is just like, let's just tear it down, man. Let's just tear it down. Screw these people. You know, I didn't go there. I'm not that dependent on being part of a movement that I have to park my common sense and my common decency, and in order to be part of this larger populist movement. And I've seen it on both sides. I've seen it on both sides, man. I've I got canceled by both sides. You're doing something right when both sides take their turn at canceling you. So anyway, everything is good. I have a safe place to stay for a while longer. I'm not sure how long I can stay here, but I'm paying rent, and there's pleasant people nearby, and all the neighbors are beginning to wave to me, and I can walk to multiple grocery stores and even car parts stores and things like that. It's pretty cool. It's not bad. So anyway, I will say good night to you, and I will talk to you soon in a proper manner.